So I'm just going to continue talking for a minute because I don't actually know if we've gone live or not. I'll do my
I'll check,
usual. Yeah, if you could do. It says we're live. It says we're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, we're live. Whoa, here we are. Right, I'm going to jump into the comments. So welcome everyone. It is Tuesday afternoon. We are back in on Beyond the Buy Box, and I'm joined by Hayden. Hi, Hayden. Sorry, I seem like a little bit distracted, but it's purely because if you were on Hive yesterday, or if you were on the Hive last week, you'll notice that there's been some streaming rules change, Facebook changes. So we're still navigating the way through them. Luckily, my business partner is Johnny Smith, so he manages to fix everything. If this was me, I would just be here talking to an empty room by myself, thinking I was live when I'm not. So I can see you guys and you're hopping on and you're joining us, which is good. We're live. So it's good to have everyone here. We got Simon, we got James, I got Yanni's joined us. Welcome, Sandy. Good afternoon. Johnny says, everyone, we are live. Come and join us if you can. It's going to be a good chat. Hayden's going to give us a song. Show us your mic.
She's waiting for that.
I was. I said to her, are we doing karaoke? I mean, I don't need any encouragement to do some karaoke. If karaoke is on the board, I am well up for joining that for sure.
So basically, I haven't got a desk at home. I sit on the sofa, so I have to take it off its tripod. Yeah, that's why.
Oh right, gosh, I can see the difference.
Yeah. So I have actually got a stand for it like that. If I was sitting on a desk, but I'm on my sofa, and I don't have a desk in this flat. So there we go. That's the story behind the mic.
I do not believe for 1 minute that mic is not used for alternate purposes when the cameras are off at home. I imagine that there's some singing around the apartment on that, surely, with that mic.
My girlfriend did absolutely try singing into it when we first got it.
100%. Like I said, if you'd have said no, I wouldn't have believed you for sure. Matt Cromie says stand-up comedian. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome back. Yeah, loads of people are jumping on now. Right, finally we're here, guys. We're going to struggle to see comments from anywhere else, and I know that this is a bit disruptive at the moment. We're still feeling our way through it. We will have, I'm hoping by next week, more of an alternate solution, even if it means that we're going back to streaming live more on YouTube, which is obviously something that is still connected and unaffected by the changes that Facebook has made. I feel sorry for StreamYard a little bit because this is something outside of their control. This is definitely a change that Facebook has made. So we will work through it. We just need you to support us all by coming on the lives, asking questions and kind of getting interactive with us. So Hayden, you actually came on a few weeks ago with the guys, and you were just talking around sort of standard Amazon selling when I was off ill, but there was always the intention to have you come back on and speak specifically a little bit more about many a person's bugbear in this Amazon game, which is PPC, paid advertising, which something that scares the life out of most people, understandably, because you can lose your shirt really quickly on PPC. So it would be good to kind of get your thoughts. We're going to answer any questions you guys might have about PPC. So let me know in the comments. I can currently see them as it stands. Let me know, are you currently using PPC for your business? Do you understand it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Give us all of your feelings on PPC and what it does in your business. Do you feel you understand it? Do you feel you could be utilizing it better? I want to hear as many different opinions on PPC as possible. But just before we do, for anyone that doesn't know you, Hayden, just give us the old intro. Give us, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm sure everyone does, but, it's always good to hear.
Hopefully there's one that doesn't get bored. So it started selling about 6 years ago online. Started with drop shipping, Amazon to eBay. That was the one. So we had like loads of, I always talk about that because it's just like, that was such an unstable.
The way you started. Yeah,
it was such an unstable sort of fear-provoking business. So I like to say I started there and then transitioned to something a lot more stable. But yeah, did the drop shipping thing and then went into arbitrage and then went into bundles. and now I do a mix of bundles, arbitrage, and just recently private label. So that's kind of what I do now. That was a very fast snippet, wasn't it, through my 6 years in e-commerce?
Absolutely, you had the fast forward button on there, but it covers it covers essentially. And I think what's really interesting, and I think Hayden, you're the perfect example of somebody doing a 180 and then a full 360 in your Amazon selling journey, because you've been through it all, you've seen it all. You've been through COVID times, which were absolutely phenomenal for anyone that was selling on Amazon during that period of time. You started before that, so you were aware of the decline we experienced. Then you got the high of COVID. Then we got the frustration back from the arbitrage selling things. You moved into bundles. You've been immensely successful with that, and now you've gone back into reselling. And so whilst maintaining, getting rid of the unsuccessful stuff, but maintaining the successful stuff and continuing to add extra layers and going through it. So you've been what I would describe as a real emotional roller coaster Amazon selling journey. There's not many things that you haven't experienced. So for anyone that maybe is that in that same sort of area at the moment, I wanted to ask you first and foremost, because Amazon is now shaping your future. It's shaping everything that you're going to be doing and building your business streams and income streams around moving forward. So why didn't you quit, as some people do? What made you stick in the game? And what kind of got you through it to where you are now?
So why didn't I quit? I'll go there first. Well, you were a big reason for that. I'm not gonna sit here and just say.
I wasn't expecting you to. That wasn't a leading question, by the way, but thank you.
No, I know, yeah, but you were a big reason for it. I was like, arbitrage for me in the UK, I felt like it wasn't working. It was working, but it was margins that I wasn't willing to accept at the time. I didn't think they were feasible, but more case it was because I didn't have the infrastructure to be able to take their margins, if that makes sense, the scalability, the funding, and the knowledge ultimately. So I assumed it wasn't working at the time. And then obviously I spoke to you about bundles and then started actually making some better profit. And then just got some hope, that's why I didn't quit. I got some hope. I was literally like, I remember saying to you when we first started speaking, when you were helping me a bit with coaching to start with, you said, I remember saying to you, this is like my final, this is my final push. If this doesn't work, then I'm out. Like I've got to do another business, because I'd had a successful landscaping business before, which was making a lot more money. And I wasn't willing to have, once you reach a certain level, of income, you never want to go below that. You always want to maintain your lifestyle like that, obviously. So and that was my last shot. And as soon as I built that confidence back up with some bundles, then I really started to understand the landscape of Amazon again, and then hence getting back into arbitrage, which I'm sure we'll talk about, which I am now, which is one of my most profitable income streams now, funny enough, even though back then I thought it didn't work anymore. That's sorry, what was the next part of the question? That's why I didn't quit.
I don't know. I can't remember. It was a while ago. I was listening intently to what you were saying. Had loads of people jump on live. Good to see you all, guys, actually. So we've got Emma. Emma was on Beyond the Buy Box a few weeks ago, opened up a new prep center. So if anyone wants to go back and watch that video, that's currently, I was going to say it's live on YouTube. The replay is on YouTube. That's a great one. We talked about the process of setting up a prep center. So go back and watch that replay if you haven't already. We got Debbie. We got Caitlin who says hello. Vienne's joined us. Welcome, guys. Chris, Jess, Jules. Good to have you all here. Loads of people jumping in. Which the ghost is back. Sorry, the wind. So going back to that point, picking it up, going through that emotional kind of roller coaster, because it's been 2.5 years since you started that transition, maybe a little bit more. Maybe just over 2.5 years. So one thing I know as being close to you during that period of time is the roller coaster you've been through, but also the growth that you've experienced, not only for you as a person, but in your business, which, we had a session the other day, didn't we? And one of the things I often do with people, especially if they're a bit more progressed, is make them look back at where they were and where they are now. And I think it still surprises you every time when we do that, because we don't do it every session. We do it every now and again. But looking back where you were now and where you started, I think it still takes you by surprise, because we are very good at humans at focusing just on what we're doing now and the future, and not looking at the past, which is not necessarily always a good place to look, but at the same time, it can help motivate us that we're heading in the right direction. So one of the things I wanted to sort of say, while having you on here, particularly before we start talking about the PPC, is you are the epitome of consistency, focus, and hard work, and putting it all together. But the one question I want to ask, and I'm hoping you're going to give this answer, is, was it easy?
It definitely wasn't easy, no.
Good. Because you are a true reflection of what this business should be about, in the sense that the time that it is taking you to get to the point you are now and where you're going to be in the future is realistic. Okay. Unfortunately, for anybody watching, if you've watched that TikTok guru who's gone into B&M and he's flipped a couple of, Mars bars over or something like that, and told you you're going to be hitting 7 figures in 3 months' time, collecting the keys to your Lambo, and buying your 5-bed exec house. Unfortunately, it's not the case. It's a longer slog than that, and it's certainly not easy. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just that never ending, and it kind of doesn't really get easier either. I mean, the momentum builds, doesn't it? The momentum gets better and you outsource. Does it get easier? I don't know. There's just bigger challenges, isn't there? Like now, before I was launching sort of 1 bundle a month. Now I try and launch 3 or 5 a week. Like especially with the new stuff we're doing now, more sort of going into the more of like the essentials market and the everyday products that are easier to launch. We launch 3 or 5 a lot easier a week than I used to launch 1 a month, obviously. But then that comes with other challenges. A lot of them won't work. And then not only have we got the challenge of the time it takes and the admin to order it, launch it, create it, etc., that we've got to pay the prep fees and everything like that. And sometimes listings won't work, or sometimes one of my private label products hasn't worked. Costs a lot of money when a private label product fails. So it's just different. It's different levels, different devils, I suppose. But I'm not at a big level, by the way. Just to make that clear. I'm not trying to sound like I am, but bigger level than people just starting out. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would say you're definitely you are where, for me, I would rather take the level of success that you're at the moment than any of the multi 7 figures that are pushing through numbers and things like that, because you've come from, I suppose, the school of Natalie a little bit. We very much focus on high margins. We very much focus on the stuff that is going to bring a good level of profitability. Because when you start playing around, and this leads quite nicely into the PPC, I think, when you start playing around with higher margin stuff, and then you start to introduce your own products, you need margins in this business to be able to use paid advertising to help grow your business. Because if you are creating things in particular that are on razor thin margins, there's not a lot left over for paid advertising. And in today's Amazon world, unfortunately, you got to pay to play in a lot of cases if you are creating your own opportunities. We do see people absolutely that create their own bundles, create their own opportunities, they launch them, and they've just got everything right. It's just hit at the right time. So therefore, it doesn't need a lot of paid advertising to keep it going, to get it started. But they are on the rarer side now, unfortunately. You definitely need some form of paid advertising to get a bundle going, or you need to start with a very low price. But either way, you got to pay to play. It's it's quite simple. So there's always a trade-off, essentially. So with everything that you were doing and everything that you've learned over the last couple of years, talk me through the processes of what you went through, what you learned, and why in particular you ended up looking at PPC a little bit deeper, or a little bit more interest than other people.
Yeah, with the PPC, it kind of fascinated me, and I had an actual interest in it, It's analytical, and I kind of liked getting data. Like, me, obviously you've worked with me for years, so it's kind of like I'm the sort of person that needs that certainty and stuff. I like certainty. I don't deal very well with uncertainty. So when I understand stuff on a deep level, that's why I wanted to get that deep level of understanding on PPC, so that I could be analytical and have that deep understanding. PPC is kind of, as long as you've got a good listing, it's kind of cause and effect. You spend X amount, as long as the listing is good, it's likely that you're going to start getting a good amount of sales with X amount of spend. As long as you've done your analysis properly. Whereas there's other stuff that isn't so certain. So I guess that was sort of one of the main reasons as well. And also, I was interested definitely in the industry as a whole, of getting into it at a later date, hence starting an agency and everything like that in it. So yeah, that they were the two main reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll come on and talk about that in a moment, because that's obviously not the reason Hayden is here today, but I want to expand on everything as part of your journey over the last couple of years, where it's led to now, where it's going to go in the future. Because I think sometimes, we've had this conversation so many times. One, I wanted to bring up about the fact that you never gave up. Okay, you had the trials and tribulations. You'd been through it. You could absolutely see, you were on the brink. You were on the edge of chucking it all in and going off and finding something else. And if you had have done that, to be perfectly honest, Hayden, you're destined to be an entrepreneur. And well, you are an entrepreneur. So whatever you would have found, I'm sure you would have eventually found something that would have worked for you, even if you had have, because I know that you wouldn't have given up entirely, being an entrepreneur and building your income streams in that respect. But one thing we certainly worked on, I know when we first started, was the perception of Amazon, and having a perception of, is it good enough for me in the sense of what I want to do? And I'm curious to hear, because as you know, as I've said to you, this is not an uncommon issue. People really associate having an Amazon business with being a bit of a Dell boy, bit of this, bit of that, bit of selling out the back of the car boot. I think over the last couple of years, since the introduction of like the aggregators that are making multi-seven figures buying private label businesses of people, I think that changed the perception of it a little bit. But I'm curious to know if anyone else has ever had this, is Amazon good enough for me? And please don't confuse that with, is Amazon good enough as in I'm too good or I'm too great for anything. I think until you kind of have that realization of understanding, one, whether Amazon is truly the vehicle for you, because you can disassociate it with that Del Boy thing, or two, that you actually believe in it. There's two things. You have to believe in it, and you have to believe it's worthy of taking you where you want it to go. So is that something that the rest of you have experienced as well? Because I'm quite curious. I think from my experience working closely with certain people and across the board, until you believe those two things, as in Amazon is good enough for me to take me where I want it, or certainly the first part of where I want it to take for me, and two, I actually believe Amazon works, I think people really struggle to scale their businesses and move beyond that, or grow successful businesses, because that's a barrier for them.
That's the exact issue I had, isn't it? Both of them issues,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was good enough for me. I wanted to build like a quote unquote proper company, like whether it was a big agency with an office, or a retail store. I don't know, something that was classed as like a proper. When I say proper business, I mean like, I guess the world's changed. So it's like, you know, what is a proper business these days? Because there's a hell of a lot of people that have got really successful online businesses, just like we have. So proper business, the term of a proper business changed, didn't it, a few years ago, especially since the internet's matured so much. But I guess I wanted like an old school business. That's in my head, probably with my upbringing, what I thought was a proper business. So I was tackling with that issue, and then tackling with the major issue, which was I didn't actually believe in the business as much as, you know, I needed to. Fast forward to now, obviously I believe in, I still have some issues, I won't lie, but I do really believe in the potential of Amazon and e-commerce, you know, generally, because I surround myself with so many people that are successful. Obviously I've had success myself, etc. And when you just immerse yourself on it and keep testing to a certain level, once you've got a bit of money in the bank, once you've got a certain amount of results, then you start to realize, oh, this is a proper thing.
Yeah.
And then also what happens there is when you start to master something, you get loads of confidence in it. You start to become a success in it. People around you can see that you're a success in it. Then you start to not, you know, really care what people think about you doing the business, because most people are just thinking how well you've done, you know, and that's fine, you know.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
Yeah, we talk about breakthroughs in this business, and that was a massive breakthrough for you. But I also think it's a breakthrough that some other people might not be aware of. Now, you are a different generation to me. I am, I mean, obviously I'm younger. No, but obviously I'm older. So I'm the next generation up again. But you're absolutely right. If you are my generation and above, so 40 plus, then we have even a harder I've been self-employed, entrepreneur, businesswoman, whatever you want to call me. I've been out of the rat race for nearly 20 years. So for me, this is not something I have an issue with, because I've been doing this in whatever capacity. I have the ability. If Amazon stopped tomorrow, I would find something else and I would move into that. And I would hope I would make a success of it, because I don't need to get past that barrier of, is this a proper business? Does this work? With the greatest of respect, you know, and without blowing my own horn, anything that we've put the time and effort into has generally worked for us in different levels of success, obviously, but you only get out what you put in. And that comes down to it as well. So I'm quite confident I would be able to move on to something else and have success, because I don't have that mindset barrier. But once you go through that mindset barrier, once you push through it, and I really do think that was the big change for you, Hayden, when you accepted that one, and like I said, it's two-part, and they didn't happen at the same time either. The Amazon thing about it being good enough, that was more of a recent thing, whereas the proven concept that happened probably in the first 6 months, right, of, you know, adopting the new style of selling and everything like that. The next thing probably took another year on top of that before you could really let go of some of those things that were holding you back from progressing. And ever since then, it's just been continual, month on month, quarter on quarter.